missed you all. And when you don't see me, things have gotten real and we're busy and we're getting things going. So bear with me. As sometimes I do have to make sure that things are running well, that our cases are going out, and that all is well, because at the end of the day, what matters is getting the results for our clients. So I want to thank you for your patience as I made my way back to lives. And, for those of you who are just joining, I am going to be talking about 4 ways that I look at. So, 4 options that I look at to help an individual get into status if they're out of status. When I say out of status, I mean you may have overstayed your visa, or you may have come in through other means. You may be, oh, thanks so much, Dream Queen of Hearts. I thank you for joining me today. I really appreciate it. So if you are a person, you don't have status here, then you're gonna want to hear these ways. And in some cases, actually in most cases, if you're out of status, it's gonna be one of these that will help you to get into status. Actually, I said 4, I can think of 5. So you're going to want to hear this and you want to listen carefully. And if you can relate to one of those ways, give us a call. Let's do an official evaluation and then get started on your case. Because if you're out of status, if you came into the country without permission, these 5 different ways will be the ways that you will be able to fix that. All right, so let's get started on that. So as I said before, you're out of status. You don't have official status here. You came into the country without permission, without inspection, or you overstayed your visa. Those are examples of cases where you're out of status. So when I determine that in a consultation, this is where some people set the appointment with me, and we evaluate whether what kinds of immigration benefits or relief the individual qualifies for. And many times I get consultations because that's what we're known for. We're known for helping people to fix their status. So in many cases, our clients may not have official status. And in that case, I look at 5 different things. So of course, the most popular is when you have a qualifying family member who can help to petition for you to get your status back current. Now, not everybody has status, and I'm going to cover options where family members are not required. But in this case, qualifying family members are going to be, if you're out of status and you overstayed your visa. This does not cover those who entered the country without permission, but it does cover those who've overstayed. If you're the immediate relative of a U.S. citizen and you came into the country legally, even though you may have overstayed, then that U.S. citizen, it can qualify for you. Now, keep in mind that the qualifying family member is not going to be just any U.S. citizen. There are only specific U.S. citizens who can help you to fix your situation. So I know many of you are listening very carefully to see if you qualify, because you may have a U.S. citizen parent, right? You may have a U.S. citizen sibling, and you're wondering if this will help to fix your situation, if they can petition for you. Now, it depends. Sibling, definitely not. So if you're out of status, you have a sibling here, a U.S. citizen sibling, that will not help you to fix your situation right now. It's not going to help you to stay here in the U.S. and get your green card. If you have a U.S. citizen parent and you're under 21, then you could qualify. You're under 21 and you enter the country you enter the country legally with a visa, parole, you were, say, even waived into the country, then you can apply for adjustment of status. If you're under 21 and unmarried, and you came into the country with some sort of permission, then you're going to fall within that category of immigrants who can fix your status through that US citizen parent. Any other son or daughter of a US citizen, particularly the son or daughter of a US citizen who is age 21 or older, it will not fix your situation. All right. So that's the first thing. And if they are under 21, voila, we have a solution right there. If not, guess what? I move on to the next scenario. Now, of course, everybody knows, or most people know, marriage to a US citizen will get you there. But not everybody wants to get married. Not everyone has even a suitable person to marry. But marriage to a US citizen is one of those as well. Another is if you are the of parent of a U.S. citizen, and that U.S. citizen is age 21 or older, that U.S. citizen, son or daughter, can petition for you. If that child is under 21, they cannot petition for you. You have to wait until they are 21 years old. So that's in regards to family. So the first thing is to check to see, do you qualify based on those family relationships. In some cases, so if you don't fall within those categories, then we're going to move on to the next set of options that I look at, alternative options that I look at. Now, the next thing I look at or I ask is if they do fall within that category where they have the parent, the spouse, or the son or daughter who can petition for them, I then ask, have those relatives been willing to petition for them? In some cases, they're more than willing to petition for their relatives. And in other cases, this is where I find out more about the history that my client has had to go through. For example, they may have those relatives, but those relatives have mistreated them. And as a result, they've not been successful in the immigration process because those US citizen relatives are there, but they will not apply for them, or they have not succeeded through the process because of the mistreatment. Now, if that's the case, there is still an option for them under VAWA. So VAWA is the other option that I look at. But guess what? With VAWA, it not only covers US citizen relatives, it also covers US permanent resident relatives who have mistreated them. So I'm going to list those out. And in addition to that, VAWA covers those who have entered the country in some way, maybe without inspection or permission. So while the family relationship, definitely, if you're going to do it, if you're the immediate relative of a U.S. citizen, and remember, the immediate relative of a U.S. citizen is going to be the spouse of a citizen, the parent of a U.S. citizen who is age 21 or older, or you're the son or daughter of a U.S. citizen and you're under 21 and unmarried. If you fall within that category, then and your US citizen relative they have to file for you, and you have to show that you entered the country with some sort of permission, right? Whether you were paroled. So, for example, some people have come through the border and they've been paroled. Well, if it's the kind of parole, there are certain types of parole. If it's not conditional parole, then you may be able to adjust status. Even though you came through the border, they still gave you permission to come in. So it's not going to stop you from adjusting status through a relative here. So that's what I mean by you have to have entered with some sort of permission. If you're going through immigration court, that's a little more complex, and while it doesn't take that option off, you definitely want to get some more legal advice on how to approach that situation. Now, if you are being mistreated by a US citizen or legal permanent resident, spouse, a parent if you're under 21, or even if you're under 24, 25 in some cases, or if you're the parent of a US citizen who's age 21 and over, you're being mistreated, then no matter if you came through the border with permission or not, whether you overstayed or not, you can qualify for VAWA relief. VAWA also leads you to the green card. It allows you to get into status, get certain protections, and get the green card. So keep in mind that VAWA is different from being the immediate relative of a US citizen in that VAWA is broader. It not only enables relatives of US citizens to apply, but it also enables relatives. So when I say relatives, I mean the spouse, the spouse and child of a permanent resident. So spouse and child of a permanent resident to apply for VAWA as well. And they are more flexible on how you came into the country. So they are going to, in some cases, they do not hold it against you when you've come into the country without permission, or you've overstayed. So they don't hold it against you in this VAWA scenario. Now, if you have certain bars, like if you say you got deported or you overstayed over a year, left the country and then snuck back in, that does lead to a permanent bar. And we have to talk more about to see if you qualify for forgiveness there. But other than that, it is a lot more flexible and allows you to still gain status here despite your entry into the United States. So that's option 2 is VAWA. Now, they say in the consultation, the person says they have no relatives here. Then I look at other options, and these options have made a world of a difference for my clients' lives. Clients who thought they had no path to permanent residence, clients who were told time and time again that they had to go get married to get the green card. Um, these options have made a change in their lives. So I'm going to list 3 more options and then I'm going to jump into answering some questions. So put your questions in the comments so I can jump straight into questions as soon as I'm finished. Now, let's talk about the T status. I know some of you are like, T what? Right? Because it's not something that's talked about. But I have a lot of experience with it. And this is one of the forms of relief that has changed my clients' lives and the lives of my clients' children and spouses. So the benefit not only goes to my client, but their relatives. Now, the T status. Usually it starts like this. I ask, what have they been through in the past couple of years that they've been here in the US without status? And it turns out many individuals who I've done appointments with, and if you're here, you're without status, you can relate. You've been through a lot, right? And you've been through a lot because you are without status. And unfortunately, you've been through a lot because people tend to take advantage of individuals who don't have their status. People can get very abusive. And while it is beyond me how people can treat their fellow human beings like this, it not only exists, but it is prevalent here in this country. And as a result, I have delved into the history of my people who have turned into my clients to find out what have they endured. And sometimes they've endured mistreatment, which usually starts out as unfair treatment by the employer. Maybe they pay them late, then they stop paying them, or they start to bring up their immigration status to say, hey, I'm not going to pay you, and what are you going to do about it? You don't have your status. And then it turns into maybe threats. they underpay them, they overwork them excessively. Um, they they feel they're in the type of positions where they feel like slaves. They feel like servants, right? Or they are hired in positions to do. They agree to do work, and then they find out that it's the work that they get is completely different from what they agreed to. These are forms of labor trafficking. Now, in other situations, and so it doesn't have to be all of that at one time. It could be one or two of those situations that lead to your victimization as the victim of labor trafficking. Now, the other situation is not only that trafficking not only covers, because T status is for victims of trafficking, and it's not only for those under the employer, but it can be a relative. It could be a friend, somebody that took advantage of your situation. They went ahead and um, they say you had a family member who then put you in their home, told you, made promises that they're going to get you into school, or they're going to get your papers, or they're going to, you know, do good things for you. And then they start to mistreat you in the house, in their house, or in even in their business. They force you to work for their in for them in their house. And I know, sometimes it's hard to identify that, because as an immigrant, you're in somebody else's house and you think that you owe it to them to do this, to overwork yourself in their house, to obey everything that they say. And because of that, you end up being being their victim, right? You feel deep down it's just not right what's happening, but you feel like you can't escape that situation. So say this relative, they go ahead and they tell you to cook, tell you to clean, tell you to do their stuff in their business. Maybe they put you in other people's homes or businesses to work. And then you're not getting any kind of compensation for this. And usually, especially when it comes to being in someone else's household, they start to hold your immigration status against you. Sometimes it goes unsaid, but you just know based on their behavior. Um, and as a result of that, them doing this to you, you maybe don't have a lot of freedom to leave the house. The way that they treat you keeps you restricted, keeps you trapped in that situation. Then that it could be a form of labor trafficking as well. So these are just examples. Other examples is trafficking within the religious sector, right? That does happen. I have had consultations, and I've had clients who have been in this situation where they have been victimized in the religious setting, forced to clean the church because they don't have any status. And at first, they think that the church is helping them, and they think that this person in the church, of course, they're supposed to be doing good, but they're functioning more under the guise of the church. So then you think, you go along with it, right? Because you think the church is going to help you in some way. But and when I say church, it doesn't mean the entire congregation. Usually it's one person that's maybe a leader in the church or in the religious sector. And so that one bad person um, does this bad thing to you, and it doesn't represent the religion, but it does show it is still a form of trafficking here. So say they make you clean the church, make you do work on behalf of the church, maybe cook for church members, cook and clean for other church members in their households, and you don't get compensated, or you get compensated very little, or they make you do this in exchange to just live in church housing. That is a form of trafficking. You don't have to be hired by someone for it to be trafficking. It's the act of making you do work that you would not usually agree to do, but they have something over your head that makes you feel trapped, make you feel like you have to do this work. So these are examples of labor trafficking, but there are also other examples of things like sex trafficking. And believe it or not, you can be sex trafficked by even an intimate partner. And I have gotten this approved for my clients, right? So in these cases, if you're not already married to this person, it doesn't have to be a citizen, doesn't have to be someone with status, but they have you in this situation. They maybe demand that you perform sex acts. Again, you don't want to, but you feel like you have to, because where will you go? Maybe they start to lead you on with promises of marriage, or they start to use your immigration status against you. So every time you refuse or you try to show your own free will, they bring these things up. Well, do you want to go back home? You should just go back home. I'll find a way to go get you back home. Those are forms, and if they're doing this and forcing you to do acts against your will, that can be, so if it's work, labor that you're doing, it's labor trafficking. If it's sex acts, it's sex trafficking. Doesn't have to be prostitution, for example. Doesn't have to be something where you're on they're putting you out on the streets, or they're selling your services for money. It can involve having an intimate partner, but being trapped, wanting to leave, but not being able to leave because you're being forced to continue this way, and out of fear, you're staying. Other scenarios, unfortunately, that I've seen is in cases, for example, the H-2B program, work programs, where you're also forced to perform certain acts in exchange for hours, or in exchange for a chance to get your visa extended. That is a form of sex trafficking as well, and I've seen it happen. So if it's happening to you, just know that, first of all, going through this process is extremely confidential, and we can get we can apply for your T status, because you would qualify in this case. Now, that's the T status. It's very fact based. So what you need to do is call, schedule an appointment, and let's get started on your facts so I can understand it, analyze it, and then determine whether you qualify. Now, the U visa is, now, let me tell you the benefits, by the way, benefits of the T status. So you do get your 4-year work permit. At the same time, you get an updated I-94 to show that you now have status again. And it also, you can apply for your green card. So it's not something temporary. You can get your green card out of it. So there are two ways. You can apply early, or you can wait for 3 years and then apply for the green card after having the T status for 3 years. VAWA. VAWA leads to the 10-year green card. You will get protected status first with VAWA, and then they push you straight into getting the green card. Process from beginning to end is 3 years. However, with VAWA, the great benefit is that you get your 5-year work permit. Right now, they're issuing 5-year work permits, and they changed this in October of last year. You get 5-year work permit, and you get that 5-year work permit about 8 months to 12 months after applying. So get on it now, so that you can get that relief should you qualify. Now, the U visa is similar to the T, so same benefits as the T. You do get the ability to get the green card eventually with the U visa, but it's for victims of crime. So if you've been the victim of a crime here, a qualifying crime, you can qualify for this. And then the last, so, schedule an appointment. Let's talk about what you've been the victim of, and then we'll talk. Now, the last is asylum. If you are in fear of returning to your country because you're facing specific threats on the basis of your identity, or on the basis of religion, political opinion, your ethnicity, your national origin, then you can qualify here for, you may qualify for asylum. It's very fact-based as well, and we'd have to evaluate your facts going forward. So those are the 5 ways, right? So family-based, the immediate relative of a U.S. citizen, VAWA, the T, the U, and asylum. So those are 5 options that you could potentially have if you're currently out of status, or if you cross the border and came in without inspection. Those are some options that are available to you to help you to get back your status. With asylum, asylum is taking very long. However, you do get a 5-year work permit while you wait for asylum to come through. And then after that, after you get approved for asylum, you do get the ability to apply for your green card. So it leads to the green card. So each one of these options that I listed lead to the green card. It's just that it depends whether on what your qualifications are. Do you have family? Do you not have family? And then what have you been through? A lot of it is based on what have you been through. All right, so let me go to questions. I'm going to scroll through quickly to questions. Please go ahead, put your questions in the comments. I'm going to go through very quickly and start answering. Hi there, could you help with the work permit? So all of these options that I listed, they get you to the work permit. So this is exactly what I focus on, is helping people to get the work permit. But you have to qualify. And so that's one of the things I just covered. I did apply for VAWA and it took around 10 months to get my EAD, but I never got a prima facie. So usually when we represent our clients, we check on why the prima facie hasn't come in, and that's on a case by case basis. Sometimes it went to the wrong address or so forth. So we as attorneys, we have a special email that we can send to the VAWA unit to ask certain questions, and then we can sometimes straighten out issues there. My green card just got approved. I celebrated my 2nd anniversary last month. Will I get the 10-year? So yes, you're gonna get the 10-year. So when you've been married for more than 2 years, you get the 10-year green card, not the 2-year green card. My brother passed away and I had legal custody for my 2 nephews. Can I file for them? You have to formally adopt them before filing for them, and there's a process to that. If you have an LLC business, can you file for an employee? So if you're an employer, you can file. However, there are other things that you'd have to evaluate first to determine whether you can qualify as an employer. You can always get in touch with us and we can do an evaluation. I'm married to a US citizen, but my mom let me use someone's paperwork. Can I get the green card? So this is a more complex situation, but if you can show how you entered the country. So you did come in with a form of inspection, except you used somebody else's paperwork. That is a form of misrepresentation and fraud. So what can happen is you can possibly, and I can't confirm until I talk to you for sure, and we can do an evaluation. Go to the link in the profile to schedule your appointment. But you can usually adjust status if you enter that way, but you have to also go through a waiver process to get forgiveness for the misrepresentation or fraud. If you came in with a US citizen's paperwork, then you are in trouble, because coming in with a US citizen's passport, for example, is falsely representing yourself as a US citizen for entry into the US, and that comes with harsh penalties. There's no waiver for that. Okay, so parents have 245. I've been here since 93. Have a citizen son. So give us a call. Let's talk. Can I do change of status for my sister? She came in on the B1 and overstayed. So no, it's you wouldn't be able to do adjustment of status for your sister. What can I do if I haven't filed with my husband but cheated and I questioned him and then so now I provide services. While I'm so sorry that happened to you, I provide services to immigrants. That does sound like a domestic issue. You need a family law attorney to help you to evaluate your options going forward, um, in regard to the abuse. If you have a permanent green card, can or permanent residence, can VAWA help you get citizenship in 3 years if separated but not divorced? So if you have the 2 year and you're going to the 10 year, then you can apply for citizenship if you apply for the 10 year through VAWA. But if you have your tenure already, then no, it's not going to help you to get to the green card faster. You wouldn't need VAWA in that case because you already have your tenure card. I'm 25, 24, 25 years old with 1 year old son, US born and currently pregnant, need help getting the work permit. So this is where give us a call. Let's talk about what your experiences are, what's going on, and we can see if we can help you there. After getting your EAD card, how long after do you get your SSN? So it can take anywhere from a week to maybe 3 weeks. But if you don't get it in that time, don't worry. Just go to the Social Security office and have them send a replacement. I'm a USA citizen and filing for my mom here. Her biometrics, also 2 kids. Do they automatically get citizenship? Unfortunately, not. No, you're a US citizen filing for mom here, also 2 kids. So the 2 kids, if they're your children and they have legal status, that means they get permanent residence. As soon as they get permanent residence, they can then become US citizens. But if those 2 kids are your mom's kids, then no. I lost my job after marriage and before I was able to file for my wife AOS. Can I still do it? You'll need a co-sponsor to show their income instead of yours if you can't show sufficient income. Good morning. After getting your EAD, how long after you get SSN? So I said that already, about 1 to 3 weeks, but go to the SSN office if you're still having a problem getting it. What if me and spouse are out of status? Can my daughter, who's a citizen, help us? If she's 21 or older, yes, she can help you then. If not, give us a call. Let's evaluate your situation and see if there's an alternative option. If you live with family members in a house and they want you to pay rent, what should you do? So I wouldn't be able to advise on that situation, but if there's a larger problem going here where you're being mistreated, they're telling you that you have to do work because you have to live there, then that's another matter. And you can give us a call. Let's see if you can get immigration relief. But other than that, I wouldn't be able to help with their demands for you to pay rent. But I can help with your immigration. Hello, after holding an H-1B visa, how long after can I apply for the green card? So, going from H-1B to green card is not automatic. So it's not, there's no rule that says, oh, after 6 years, you can get your green card. You still have to be petitioned for either through a family member or through the employer who's petitioned for you for the H-1B. All right, I'm gonna go to the next. So YouTube to answer some questions here. So please bear with me. Made an appointment, looking forward to it. Yes, me too. Um, I have EAD advanced parole, but I applied to join the US military, but they told me I have to get a green card to join. So you have to qualify for the green card in certain ways. So yes, but there's not everyone here is going to get a green card unless you qualify. What happens if my T visa is denied? Will I be deported? Will USCIS contact the trafficker? Also, can I show credible evidence for my case? So this is where it's very important to schedule an appointment, because a lot of this information, the advice I'm going to give, is dependent on your particular situation. But what I can say here is that it is an extremely confidential process. And with my experience, they have not automatically issued notices to appear for deportation after a denial. That's a current policy that they have now. Now, can you show credible evidence for the case? That's going to depend on your facts here. So let's talk. How long does a T visa take? So about 1 year. It could range from 6 months to 18 months, but on average, 1 year. If I file 360 petition, can I apply for adjustment of status? No. It depends on if your priority date is current. If your relative is a US citizen, then yes, because that's always going to be current. If your relative is a US permanent resident, then no. Then you're going to have to wait for that to become current. I'm an immigrant, and can you help me get the working permit? So I do help clients to get it. Do you qualify? That's where the consultation is going to be very important. All right, so I just have very limited time, so I'm going to just run through. So are you waiting on any new immigration law till end of the year? So that's going to depend on what's going on politically. Right now, it's a very controversial topic, and I'm not counting on any new reform happening for now. And we'll have to see how the election goes to determine what kind of legislation is going to be passed. What documents do you need to take with you if you have a combo card going on a cruise? So make sure you take all documents, and keep in mind, talk to your attorney. If you're traveling, make sure you talk to your attorney. But what I will say is make sure you have your passport. Make sure if you're traveling on your combo card, you have your passport, your of course combo card showing that you have your travel document at a minimum, but speak specifically to your attorney. Is there a way a French citizen can live legally in the USA? Like everybody else, you'll have to qualify like everybody else. So you should schedule an appointment. Let's evaluate your options. My mom is a citizen. I'm over 21 and unmarried. How much time would it take for the green card? About 5 to 7 years. So if you've overstayed already, it's not going to be the right path for you. Is it true that the VAWA application for work permit will be free April 1st? So the VAWA application is always free. The work permits that you have to pay for is not free through the adjustment of status, but VAWA is always free. As a US citizen, I sponsored my husband. Together we have children born in the USA. One of them is disabled. Our attorney got my husband his visa and I-130 approved, but during COVID, visa was lost. So it sounds like you have a more complex issue there. Talk to your attorney. If you're represented, make sure you talk to your attorney. Based on your fee, is the VAWA free? Yes, it's free, but it's not. The I-485 is not free. So please, are you dealing with UK immigration law? No, I don't do that one. I marry a USC. My child is here with me in the US. I married the USC when my child was already 18 years old. Can my USC spouse? No. So if your child already turned 18, they don't qualify as a stepchild under immigration for immigration purposes. Is it possible to ask for asylum in the US after 4 years in the US if there's been a change in circumstances that wasn't there before, that now exists, that would justify your new application for asylum? Then that could be a possibility. I don't want to return to my country yet due to the rate of insecurity and kidnapping in my country. A good reason to file asylum. So you can't be as general with asylum. It can't be, I just fear the crime rate in my country. It really has to be specific to you. You have to have a credible fear of persecution, violence, threats, deprivation of your freedom because of a specific threat against you or a particular group that you are a part of. All right, I have to head out. Thanks so much, everyone, for your time. I will be back tomorrow. I'm aiming to be back tomorrow, so please join me. At around lunchtime, and think of some questions, more questions. If I didn't get to your question, please save your question and put it in the comments again, and I'll answer them then. In the meantime, get in touch with me. That's the best way that you're going to be able to determine whether you qualify for a form of relief or benefit to get into status here. So don't count yourself out. Make sure you talk to me, and we can work through your situation and see if we can help you. Another thing is we do have another attorney on board. So when you go to the link, you'll see me and another attorney, Attorney Bria, who is also accepting appointments. Attorney Bria and I work very closely to do evaluations. So you'll be getting the same service as you do with me. And I'm doing that to make sure that we can help more and more people. My schedule is booked until March. But Attorney Bria has more flexibility right now, but it's filling up fast as well. So please go ahead and schedule your appointment with her or me if you're willing to wait, and we can help you figure out how to get the work permit, how to get your status here. All right, thanks everyone. Have a great day. Bye-bye.